and Mitch Trubisky talking about being pulled from the game with that hip injury.
I think it was probably one or two series that he went through with it, and then I finally pulled him aside. I said, listen, here's the deal. We got to know, and you got to be honest with us as to where you're at. And it was hard for him to say that. It was really hard, but he told me exactly how he felt, and then I made the decision to put Chase in there at that time.
It was something in the second half, and one of the hits I took got evaluated at halftime, something in the hip region where I was just trying to keep it loose the second half and be able to make plays for my team, and it just kept getting tighter and tighter in the hip region, and I just couldn't move around like I wanted to, and I was just throwing with a lot of arm, and I was trying to make plays and stay on the field and fight through, and just disappointed I couldn't finish.
Now Mr. Trubisky has the dubious honor of having the worst quarterback rating decrease from year to year.
Jeez.
What are you seeing at this point, and why would you go with Chase Daniel at the end of that game?
In that moment, that's the moment you choose to bench the quarterback? Of all the moments, because you've had plenty of opportunity to do it this year, and I know they're saying it's a hip injury. I'll believe it when I kind of see it really play out, but in the biggest moment of the season, you think that benching the quarterback and going to Chase Daniel is going to be the better decision, whether you thought he was lighting it up last night or not. But there were more opportunities this season to move on from Mitch Trubisky than last night when you're down 10 with 3 minutes to go in the football game. Like another perfect example of severe mismanagement of the quarterback spot by Matt Nagy.
And Pat, you seem to think rather that there could be some front office implications on what you saw making that switch.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things we have to factor here. Obviously, if his hip is injured, if he's hurt or injured, those are things you have to think about. But now you have to ask the question, did Pace know that Nagy was going to do this? Pace and Trubisky go hand in hand. He traded up to get him over Deshaun Watson, over Patty Mahomes, over Christian McCaffrey. So this is Pace's guy. So if Nagy did the pool job without informing Pace, I think that's an interesting little storyline we should keep up with. And if he did know that it was going to happen, if Pace did know, then therefore Pace is acknowledging his mistake. This year, Mitchell Trubisky has been worse than Josh Rosen was last year. Josh Rosen, the Rosen one, stunk last year. Somehow Mitchell Trubisky goes from the number 2 QBR to absolutely terrible. And if this is Pace saying, yeah, I agree, he's not performing that well, you can go ahead and pull him, then that's good. If not, there's going to be a little bit of discourse, a little miscommunication between head coach and GM.
But they both have their hand in it. Like this is a coach that has not done anything that the kid does well.
Agreed.
We've said that all season long. So for you in that moment to go, well, he couldn't move because his hip was hurting him, and thinking it's better for him to be on the bench and on the sideline than on the field because he can't move, but then to put Chase Daniel in?
Chase Daniel will light up the scoreboard. We all know that. Through his career, that is what Chase Daniel's done for.
What you just showed me is you have no confidence in your quarterback. And by the way, you have no draft picks. This is your quarterback moving forward. Now, are you going to be the coach moving forward? I don't know, but you got to do something. And right now, I see a team that lacks confidence. And to me, this is a horrendous decision. You're going to just pile on the fact that you have no confidence in them.
We talk about regression. Mitch Trubisky has had the largest decrease in QBR year over year. 34 points it's dropped. Someone is to blame for that.
Disappointed is the word. You can actually use that word to describe both teams, despite the Rams getting the win. We'll dig into all of this, but we do have Ian Rappaport joining us this morning, our NFL Network insider. We all saw Trubisky have that exchange with Coach Matt Nagy on the sideline, and then he was on the sideline for the remainder of the game. What can you tell us about the Bears quarterback situation today ahead of their game in Week 12 against the Giants?
No, certainly, Kate, there's going to be a lot of examination of, well, many things in this game, including that sideline conversation, which we are now going to see many, many times. Clearly, a frustrated Mitch Trubisky, a frustrated Matt Nagy, trying to get to the bottom and trying to figure out what is wrong with Trubisky and why was he playing like that. If you look with about 40 seconds to go in the first half, Trubisky gets kneed in the hip area by Michael Brockers. Perhaps that is a hit they were all talking about. And Nagy took several moments after the game to say this was not a pulling of Mitch Trubisky. This was not benching him and putting in the veteran Chase Daniel. Obviously, they want better quarterback play, but to do it at that time, just watching it did not make a lot of sense. And knowing that Trubisky was injured makes much more sense than him being pulled at that moment. That said, This Bears quarterback situation is now very much in focus. How healthy is Trubisky? If he can't move around like he usually does that limit his effectiveness as a quarterback? Is he going to be healthy going forward? What kind of tests is he going to have on his hip today and tomorrow? Far more questions than answers regarding the Bears quarterback situation going forward.
And the most important question, of course, Ian, is he the franchise quarterback of the future? Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll have you back in a little bit, of course. But take a look. Mitchell Trubisky ranks last among QBs in the league in passing yards per game and yards per attempt. He's tied for 26th with just 9 passing touchdowns this season. Rams fans, we are going to get into love for you, of course, for getting the win. Todd Gurley looking revitalized. But, Nate, what do you think they should do at quarterback with Mitchell Trubisky?
They should explore options. I mean, this is the point in his career where you either solidify yourself as a franchise guy or there's more questions about who he is moving forward. And I think that's exactly where we're at right now. Now, I know the draft might not be an option when you look at picks and available guys coming up in this year's upcoming draft. But there might be a
first rounder.
Exactly. So there might be guys to trade for. I mean, one dude that comes to mind is Cam Newton. Now, I know the situation is very unclear. We don't know what they're going to do at the QB position, but I do know Cam will be well rested. He should be healthy. And if indeed it's time for Carolina to move on, then maybe this is one of the suitors, a team that can have Cam get a fresh start to his career. They'll have some type of revitalization within that offense. Fans will come and sit down because there's a new former MVP now at quarterback. But even more options like that because there's a few backup quarterbacks in the league that could make a chance to start next season, and Bears might be a suitor.
And listen, after what we saw yesterday, I don't know if the Panthers are getting rid of Cam, but as far as the Bears, here's what kills you about Mitch. He's a very talented guy. He works so hard, impeccable teammate, doesn't do social media, leader this, film that. It's everything you could ever want from a franchise quarterback. And then he gets out there and he just doesn't have it. That's what kills you because it's a perfect suitor. And what really kills you, they bet on him. They bet everything on him. Mitch has to work or the plan doesn't work moving forward. And what's so paralyzing for Bears fans is there is no Brandon Allen or Kyle Allen or Gardner Minshew, some late round guy. There's nobody. It's him and it's Chase Daniel. Matt Nagy's known Chase Daniel for years, has coached him for years. They're not going to Chase Daniel. He's not the answer, and it appears that Mitch is not the answer either. And it's a crushing blow for Bears fans, but they have to do anything they can in the offseason because he's had a lot of chances.
Yet I'm watching last night, and I don't think Trubisky played well. He did have an awesome back shoulder touchdown pass to Tariq Cohen in the third quarter, but I'm watching it, and I'm not like coming away from the game being like, oh, Trubisky lost that game. That game was terrible for the Bears. And Eddie Pinheiro, yet again, misses 2 field goals in the early parts of the game. That gives them a chance. They go for it on 4th, inexplicably at one point. But, you know, at some point, it's not just the quarterback. Khalil Mack last year was one of the best players in all of football. We built our show around being the Khalil Mack cheerleading show at times. He's been invisible. The offensive line has not protected Trubisky, and all of those acquisitions that you're saying there was a plan, whether it be Allen Robinson or Taylor Gabriel or Trey Burton, they're no-shows also. So from the NFL's Coach of the Year, Matt Nagy, to the new defensive coordinator, Chuck Pagano, right down the list, no one has been great this year. They're a 4-6 team, and I look at that and I come off this morning and I'm not thinking, man, Trubisky stunk again. That wasn't my takeaway. My takeaway was that's not a good team, and it's from the top of the roster right down to the bottom.
Mitchell Trubisky was benched towards the end of this game. At the time, he had 24-43, 190 yards, touchdown, interception, a 65 rating. Ian Rappaport just reported, NFL media, that the Bears said that there was a hip injury for Mitch, and that's why they took him out of the game. Now, it didn't feel like that, and we didn't get an official word. Ordinarily, something like that comes down the press box, the beat reporters reported, but it's possible they were on their way down to the field and didn't hear it. So we're really going to have to the Matt Nagy press conference is a must. Let's assume for a second that the Bears didn't take him out for a hip injury, that they took him out because he was ineffective.
Then that would be saying that they're lying, and I think at this point we can tell they usually tell the truth.
What?
But I think what Briggs, listen, no one has an answer right now, right? Everybody, like what Briggs just did, like, that's how we all feel, right? Because, listen, now, I'll say worse, so I put you guys in my boat. We're watching the game and begging for things, right? Because we know, like, this is one of the worst offenses in the league with a third-year, second pick of the draft quarterback. Second year in Coach Nagy's system, who was brought in as an offensive guru, right? And he brought in Coach Heffert from Oregon. He brought in Ragone, kept Ragone, brought Brad Childress in this year. This offense can't put points on the board. Mitch Trubisky, whether you took him out tonight and put Chase in or not, it's pretty obvious he's not the answer, at least for this offense. And for the Bears and the organization, that's scary.
It's very scary. There's a problem typically when you see somebody with an injury, a lower body injury, they're not standing up the rest of the game. So I saw him standing on the sideline the rest of the game. I don't buy it for 1 second if they say there's an injury. I think, honestly, this is long overdue. The kid has been playing this way all season. You have to make that change. Yes, okay, we saw in the 4 plays that Chase had, he's not the answer either. So we are still on the search for a quarterback. Stop telling me that this quarterback is the quarterback of the future.
Well, you know what they're going to say? They're going to talk about drops. They're going to talk about drops, but at this point, this offense is still ineffective. They can't put points on the board.
What's so terrible is there's always somebody else's fault. Say it's the receiver fault. It's the running back fault. It's the offensive line. Tonight I saw a little bit of his 10 fault because that's how I'm taking it. I don't see the injury thing. That you don't stand on your feet the whole time if you got a hip injury.
And they're not going to outright come out and say, yeah, it was the injury. I mean, outright say that they benched him. They're not going to do that. They're going to say it was the injury stuff. But also, you usually see guys going to the blue tent thing. They always capture somebody going in there. They didn't do that. And then also, they checking you on the sideline. But also, coach ain't going to come whisper in your ear.
The head coach come whisper in your ear.
Head coach going to come talk to you. And why did he do that? That's the big question.
Yep.
I think that's a great question because that was clearly an emotional conversation, and it's possible that the emotional conversation had to do with Mitch being hurt. I want to allow for that because I would be dishonest journalistically if I didn't allow for that. But when we all saw it, that's not the reaction that we had in the room.
Correct.
The reaction was, oh, okay, they're going to make a change, and they're trying to break it to Mitch.
I will say this: when I watched the game, the feeling I had on the option play on 3rd and 1 was that was a straw that broke the camel's back. When he didn't press the line of scrimmage, and the look on Coach Nagy's face, like I'm pretty sure whatever he said into the headphones, you can't put that on TV.
No.
About Mitch, and the look on his face was, that's enough. Like that, I can't take that no more. And to be fair to Mitch, like we're talking about, there were drops, there were 2 missed field goals. We didn't kick a field goal because we didn't trust the kicker. There's a lot going on in that game. In the beginning of the game, you actually thought Mitch was playing a little better, getting the ball to the receivers he needed against a pretty good defense. But I'm telling you guys, and it's just a total guess by me, the look on Coach Nagy's face on that 3rd and 1. Because he wants his trick play to work. We all know Coach Nagy, right? He wants those trick play. And I got this great idea to run option. And if you looked at the play, if Mitch attacked him, the play
I've laid my myself on the line for you week after week after week. He's like, now you're going to make me look really bad on this play. That's a play where you're going to make me look bad, and all you had to do was something simple as press the line.
Look on the other side.
Win it 17-7. It was a muck game, that's for sure, for both teams until the Rams started finding their passing wings in the 4th quarter at a key time to extend the lead to 10, and that changed the complexion of everything. Bears just could not capitalize on some of their opportunities today, and that's it from L.A. 17-7, your final score.
Muck, you got to be careful the way you say it. Jeff Joniak on the call on our sister station, WBBM News Radio 780 and 105.9 FM. I'm Lawrence Holmes here with you until 2 o'clock. Anthony Herron is going to join me coming up in a few minutes, which is great because we'll get to the actual breakdown of the game. What I appreciate from what happened in the last segment, and we thank you if you're joining us now, we went through Matt Nagy's press conference. I appreciate Hub really trying to get after it, Moon really trying to get after it, asking questions that either Matt Nagy doesn't get or doesn't want to answer. What Moon this week and what Hub in previous weeks has been asking him is, can you get a better hold of all of the other things that are going on your team if you gave up your kind of laser focus on play calling. And whenever that question comes up, Nagy's his default setting is, are you questioning my play calling? Let me tell you, my scheme is good. That's not what we're asking you. We're asking you if you could do a better job of being the CEO of the Bears during a game if you didn't have to worry about play calling. If you could have made sure that the message about your quarterback got out, or you could have gotten your backup quarterback warmed up and brought into the game. Now, I'm sure that everyone will, the all 22s come out tomorrow, right? That's when we can get access to them. People will look back at the all 22s and see if they see Chase Daniel warming up. The NBC Football Night in America broadcast is probably the gold standard when it comes to football. I'm not saying that they didn't miss it, but usually there are a couple of people that are trying to spot stuff like that and go, hey, we need to get camera 16 onto Chase Daniel warming up. Maybe he's coming into the game. Maybe Trubisky is hurt. Maybe Trubisky is playing ineffectively. And it's possible that they missed it. It's possible. What I do like is that the Bears as an organization from top to bottom are getting dragged, and they deserve it. For two reasons on Trubisky. If you continue to play secret squirrel during a game, we don't want anything to get out, you then make him look bad. You make him look bad by either they didn't want him to play anymore or he's weak and he can't fight through it. Just let people know. And when it comes to if NBC or whomever is your broadcast partner is truly your broadcast partner, if you want to disseminate a message, there's a very easy way to do it. Have whoever is there working in PR for you get a note to the broadcast team, because neither the national broadcast team nor the local broadcast team, Jeff and Tom, knew what was going on. That is a disservice to 10. And it's a disservice to your team. It's ridiculous. So I'm glad that a spotlight is being put on the dysfunction of the entire organization. It was on full display last night. Here, let's go.
Lawrence Holmes, noon to 2 on Sports Radio 670 The Score and 670thescore.com, a radio.com sports station. Anthony Herron.
All we got to do is do our job and punch him in the mouth every single play.
Football insider for 670 The Score.
We do what we do.
Of the Chicago Bears. We talk with Anthony Herron at 1 o'clock on every Monday after a Bears game day. He is nice enough to come and hang out here with me in studio. You can watch him on Fox 32.
He'd been issues that take place during the game, and we're not quite sure what's going on with field position, what's going on with timeouts, what's going on with short yardage decisions, what's happening with personnel at different points, and how locked in he is on those personnel decisions. Now, I don't subscribe. I stayed up even later than I should have last night with my early morning show tweeting about this a little bit. I don't at all subscribe to any kind of conspiracy theory about whether or not they're inventing this Mitch Trubisky injury. It just doesn't make sense. There's no reason to do it. If you're going to bench Mitch, just bench him. I mean, who's going to challenge you on it? It's Chicago. They've been waiting for Mitch to be benched for months now. It just doesn't make any sense. Well, why even go that route as opposed to just sitting him down? If you admit defeat, you want to pull him out of the game because you think Chase is your better option, then do it. Most of the folks in the city are going to pat you on the back for it at this point. So you don't lose anything by just honestly saying we don't want Mitch to be the quarterback. My interpretation is he had a hip issue, whatever it is, hip pointer, hip strain, whatever. They tried to allow him to play through it. Early in the second half, it was still going well. As the second half wore on, it was not. They decided to pull him at that point. I think it's a worthwhile question. I can't get my mind wrapped around what would be the purpose behind it. Who does it help? Who does it save to invent an injury for a guy who a lot of folks are waiting on you to bench anyway?
I'm not sure that, you know what? I want to get
I've been
into
rambling.
this.
I didn't leave us some time for that.
No. I would like to get into it because I sometimes think that we give them too much credit as far as them concocting something and saying, oh, well, this will get them off the trail. We'll do this. And I just wonder if it was just one of those things where I think that you're right. Like in retrospect, I think he's hurt. He can't play as well as we would have liked for him to play.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get him out of there. Okay, I'm willing to accept that. But I do think that throughout the last few months, there's been enough smoke that there should be some fire when it comes to the fragility of 10. And if you thought that in one particular game you needed to bench him for whatever reason, you might need to go back to him, that would be impetus enough for you to be like, well, you're hurt, right?
Just like doing the Jedi mind trick on him, just waving their hand in his face like,
you're hurt.
Your hip bothers you.
My hip does bother me. It's amazing that you knew that. Before I let you go,
I suppose it's possible. I don't know who's got the force working like that over there right now, though.
No, there are a bunch of Siths over there right now. I want to ask you, what would you do about the kicker situation? Because I didn't like Nagy acting as if Eddie's our guy. Eddie, in my opinion, deserves some competition. Even if he wins it, I'm good with him winning. But there should be people there tomorrow.
I think in a different situation, I shouldn't even say it probably would be the case because they never did that with Parkey last year, did they?
Nope.
Now they invested a lot more money in Parkey and so there's other factors with that. But for Eddie Pinheiro, where, we went through most of the offseason where it seemed like kicker was the main concern. And then after about a month of the season, like, oh, kicker's the only thing that's not a concern. It turned really quickly on the perception of him in that role. I don't necessarily believe that moving him answers much for you. And if you do that, partly because I don't know what's there on the street that's going to be any better than what you're getting out of him right now, anywhere, at least what you have a sense that you can get out of him. Cody Parkey's on the street. I brought that up on our show last night. Cody Parkey is out there and he is on the street. He is, I was saying this to Shep, man, when we were on during the baseball season, the Parkey move happens and the Jordan Howard move happens. There were a couple of things where they left holes where I'm trying to figure out, all right, how are they going to replace these things? And folks were scoffing at me like, oh, replacing Jordan Howard.
Easy.
So what? What's the big deal?
He's fat and out of shape.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, right. And replacing Cody Parkey, he is a guy who has been an accomplished NFL kicker. You need somebody. You need somebody to bring in. You still got money invested in that spot, so I know that matters, and it's not that easy. And it's the same thing I was yelling at Connor and Dan about last Thursday, even in moving on from the quarterback. If it happens, which looks like it probably will at some point, at whatever point it does, have an answer is my thing. Just have an answer. If you decide you're moving on from Mitch, if you decide you're moving on from Jordan Howard, if you decide you're moving on from Eddie Pinheiro, just have an answer. Don't move on for the sake of moving on. Don't move on because you're tired of looking at him. Don't move on because you're tired of the city of Chicago asking you about him. Have an answer before you move on, because sometimes the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, especially when you're in the meat of the season right now. Bringing in a few other guys to kick during practice, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I wouldn't want to see him release Eddie Pinheiro unless they felt like they had someone else coming in who made sense.
Agreed. If he wins it, he wins it, but he should not feel comfortable walking into Hallis Hall.
I don't think he does. I mean, he walked away from the media last night after the game. He definitely looks uncomfortable in a number of different ways. I mean, him amongst a number of guys who aren't getting the job done. I think at this point, Matt Nagy is so scapegoat conscious, aside from James Daniel, it seems, but, he probably doesn't want guys to just feel like it's your fault or it's your fault, it's your fault, because so many guys aren't doing their job at the level that needs to be happening right now.
And then Adam Shaheen magically has a foot injury. I'm just saying.
Touche.